I froze in the doorway, my breath caught in my chest. 14 faces turned toward me. They were all illuminated by the warm light of the restaurant. Empty plates littered the white tablecloths. Wine glasses were half empty, dessert crumbs were scattered everywhere. The celebration was clearly winding down. My mom spotted me first. She waved casually. "Oh, Marin, you finally made it," she said. The restaurant hummed around us, but at their table, a sudden silence fell. I checked my watch. 7:05 p.m. My pulse quickened. Confusion gave way to understanding. "I thought dinner was at 6:30. I said, my voice quiet. My legs felt wooden. I clutched my purse. I couldn't move the rest of the way to the table. My dad dabbed his mouth with a napkin. "We moved it up to 5, he said. "Didn't Mom tell you?" Mom shrugged. The new diamond anniversary bracelet on her wrist caught the light. "I mentioned it might change," she said. "Besides, we didn't really expect you to make it. Honey, you're always so busy." The words hit me like ice water. I had confirmed the time twice that day. Once that morning, and again at lunch. I called her to remind me not to be late. "You never mentioned changing the time," I said. My voice was quiet. I was aware of other diners glancing our way. A server approached. He offered a sympathetic smile, but he retreated when he read the tension. Just that morning, I'd rearranged my entire schedule, all to make it here on time. It was my parents' 32nd anniversary. Then the Peterson account exploded. It happened at 4:15 p.m. A shipment was misdirected. It went to Tulsa instead of Tampa. As logistics manager, the crisis landed squarely on my shoulders. Still, I had managed to resolve it. I raced across town through rush hour traffic. I was always being responsible. Showing up was the story of my life. Bryn, my younger sister, smirked from her seat. She was sitting next to Mom. She'd had her third glass of wine. Judging by the flush in her cheeks, "Want my picked over salad and breadsticks," she said. "There might be a cold meatball left, too." The table tittered. My Uncle Ron snorted into his espresso. "Now, Bryn," Mom chided. It was a half-hearted warning. Her attention shifted back to me. She reached into her purse. "But since you're here, your timing is actually perfect." She pulled out a folded paper. The crease was crisp. She extended it toward me like a peace offering. I took it automatically. It was a receipt. My fingers trembled as I unfolded it. 1-720-43. "We figured you'd be happy to cover it," Mom said. It was that familiar smile, the one that wasn't really a question. "Since you missed the dinner itself." The restaurant suddenly felt too warm. It felt too small. This wasn't just about dinner. My mind raced. For 3 years, I had been the family ATM, paying their mortgage when Dad lost his job, covering Bryn's rent when she was finding herself, the down payment on Dad's new car, the family vacations I funded but somehow never made it onto. My hands stopped trembling. I looked up. I met 14 pairs of expectant eyes. Family tradition. Marin pays. Marin provides. Marin never complains. But something had fundamentally shifted. Deliberately, I tore the receipt in half, then quarters, then eighths. The pieces fluttered onto the table like confetti. Bryn laughed nervously. "Looks like our VIP sponsor is having a moment." The table erupted in awkward laughter. Dad's face darkened with anger. "Marin," he began. His voice had that warning tone I'd heard since childhood. But I no longer cared. I'd spent years trying to buy their love. I was trying to buy their approval. Now, I was excluded anyway. I was useful only for my wallet. I turned without a word. I walked out of Salvatore's. I didn't look back. 20 minutes later, I slammed my apartment door. The framed logistics certification on the wall rattled. My hands still trembled with adrenaline. I dropped my purse on the entry table. I kicked off my sensible heels. I slumped against the wall. The restaurant scene played on repeat in my mind. Those 14 faces, staring expectantly at me, waiting for me to fulfill my usual role. Marin the provider, Marin the checkbook. The thought propelled me toward my home office. I needed evidence. I needed to see the pattern laid bare. In the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet was a manila folder. The label read Family Assistance. Inside, receipts were neatly filed by date. Bank statements were highlighted in yellow. Canceled checks were in chronological order. The documents were organized meticulously. I spread them across my desk. The full scope of my financial entanglement unfolded before me. 3 years of mortgage payments, Bryn's rent, Dad's new Buick, Mom's dental work, Christmas gifts for everyone, birthday presents, emergency home repairs. I grabbed a legal pad. I started tallying. The numbers climbed steadily. Each addition made my stomach clench tighter. When I reached the final sum, I physically recoiled. $47,382.17. Nearly $50,000 in 3 years. The realization hit me with physical force. I rushed to the bathroom. I barely made it. Kneeling on the cold tile floor, I wiped my mouth with the back of my hand. I tried to steady my breathing. This wasn't just about dinner. This wasn't a one-time slight. This was calculated. It was systematic. It was intentional. Back at my desk, I sorted through more statements. A peculiar charge from last February caught my eye. A vacation package to Scottsdale. For airline tickets, for nights at a resort, golf fees, spa treatments. I had no memory of this trip because I wasn't invited. I had paid for a family vacation. I was never even told about it. The betrayal was so profound it made me lightheaded. I sank into my chair. The room spun slightly. All these years, I thought I was helping. I was being the responsible daughter, the good sister, the family rock. But they never saw me as family at all. I was just an ATM with legs. My fingers moved mechanically. I pulled up my retirement account. The balance sat at $18,452. It was pathetically low for someone my age. It was because I'd been diverting funds to family emergencies. My savings account told a similar story. The personal vacation to Quebec I'd been planning for 3 years was cancelled last summer. Bryn needed money for car repairs. Your sister really needs this, Marin, Mom had said. You can always go next year. But next year never seemed to arrive. The stark financial reality laid out the consequences in black and white. If I continued this pattern, I'd work until I was 80. I'd have no home of my own, no retirement security, no life beyond funding theirs. My phone buzzed on the desk, a text from Mom. You embarrassed us tonight. Call me when you're ready to apologize. Something crystallized inside me, a hardening, a shift so fundamental I could almost hear it click into place. I logged into my online banking. I canceled all automatic transfers to my parents' accounts. Then, I removed Bryn as an authorized user. I created a new spreadsheet. I titled it Financial Independence Plan. I outlined aggressive savings goals for the next 6 months. My phone buzzed again. A text from Dad. Your mother is very upset. This is no way to treat family. Family? The word now felt hollow. I blocked his number, then Mom's, then Bryn's. One by one, I blocked every family member who sat at that table. The apartment fell into complete silence. No more buzzing, no more demands. The quiet wrapped around me. It wasn't comforting, but it was final. 2 weeks passed. The family storytelling machine was working overtime. According to my cousin's wife, I was having a nervous breakdown from work stress. Uncle Ron told his golf buddies I was struggling with female problems. Mom's bridge club heard I was going through a phase. Not once did they mention the nearly $50,000 I'd given them over 3 years. The doorbell rang. I froze, holding my breath. Through the peephole, I spotted Mrs. Henshaw from Furby. Not another family ambush. I exhaled slowly. I opened the door. Mail mix-up again, she said. She handed me an envelope. The Chase Bank logo stared back at me. I'd started dreading the mail. I jumped when my phone rang. I avoided my email. Last week's letter said my credit score dropped 85 points. The week before, it was a credit limit decrease. I slid the envelope into a growing pile on my counter. I turned back to my laptop. The spreadsheet I'd been building glowed on the screen. It was a meticulous record. Every dollar I'd given my family was there. Column E was mostly empty. That column was for whether I was thanked. The largest single entry stared back at me. $8,700. It was for Dad's emergency dental work. It somehow coincided with the delivery of his new golf clubs. A knock at my door made me jump. This time, I didn't check the peephole. I swung it open. Instead of Mrs. Henshaw, Theo Ramsey stood there. He was holding a paper bag from Antonio's. He had a book tucked under his arm. Bad time? He asked. He knew the situation. Sorry, I said, stepping back. Thought you were someone else. I motioned him inside. We ate pasta at my kitchen table. We carefully avoided the topic of my family. Theo didn't ask about the unopened mail. He didn't ask why my phone kept buzzing. He just brought company, in silence. 3 months passed. I declined for family invitations. I blocked 17 more phone numbers. I filled my spreadsheet with 3 more years of financial data. Then on a Tuesday morning in October, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. The area code matched Chase Bank's customer service. Miss Beckett, a woman's voice asked. This is Diane Reynolds from Chase Bank's fraud department. Do you have a moment? My stomach dropped. What account? I asked. The Chase Sapphire Reserve card opened in your name 6 months ago, she said. The current balance is $18,900. The room tilted slightly, but instead of panic, A strange calm settled over me. That's identity theft, I said quietly. I never authorized that card. As Diane detailed the investigation process, I opened my laptop. I searched my email. Nothing from Chase about a new card. I asked where the statements were sent. The paperless billing is directed to an email address, she said. She read it out. bj.beckett94@gmail.com. And the mailing address? I asked. Your parents' address, she said. I sat motionless at my kitchen table. The realization crystallized. This was never about money. It was about respect. It was about autonomy. It was about whether I had the right to say no. I called Theo immediately. I need your help, I said. What's happened? His voice shifted instantly. It went from casual to professional. I explained the situation in clear, concise sentences. My voice grew stronger with each detail. I'll be there in 30 minutes with the paperwork, he said. This is identity theft, Marin. It's a federal crime. For the next week, Theo and I compiled evidence. The credit card application was linked to Bryn's email. Shipping addresses for purchases were sent to my parents' house. The timing was suspicious. The card was opened 2 days after I walked out of Salvatore's. We had everything we needed, a comprehensive file documenting each fraudulent charge. A draft police report was ready to file. I closed my laptop. I looked at Theo. I'm ready, I said. My hands were steady on the steering wheel. I was no longer afraid. We pulled into my parents' driveway. The familiar red brick Colonial looked smaller somehow. Theo arranged the paperwork in a leather portfolio. Stay calm, he said. Stick to the facts. They'll try to make this emotional. The front door opened before we reached the porch. Mom stood in the doorway. Her forced smile faltered when she saw Theo. Marin, honey, we weren't expecting visitors. This is Theo Ramsey, I said. He's an attorney. We need to talk. Dad appeared behind her. About what exactly? He asked. Identity theft and credit card fraud, I said. Their expressions shifted in tandem, from surprise, to confusion, to practiced innocence. Dad ushered us into the living room. Bryn was sprawled on the sofa. She glanced up. The prodigal daughter returns, she muttered. I sat across from them. I placed the folder on the coffee table. Theo remained standing. He was a silent fortress at my back. Someone opened a credit card in my name, I said. I slid the account statements toward them. The card was sent to this address. It was linked to Bryn's email. It currently has an unpaid balance of $18,900. Mom laughed nervously. There must be some mistake. No mistake, I said. I opened the folder wider. The transaction history was visible. It was opened 2 days after the dinner incident. Dad leaned forward. His confident smile faded as he flipped through the pages. You never used to worry about money, he said finally. What happened to family helping family? This isn't help, I replied. It's theft. Mom reached for my hand. I pulled back. Sweetie, we thought you wouldn't mind, she whispered. We figured you needed time to cool off. And we did need a few things. 18. worth of things. My voice rose. Dad's face hardened. You have a good job. You can handle it. Maybe this will teach you not to walk out on family. The admission hung in the air. I reached into my pocket. I stopped the recording app on my phone. I placed it on the table. Dad's eyes widened. You just admitted to knowingly committing fraud. Theo spoke for the first time. That's a federal crime with potential prison time. Bryn launched to her feet. You can't be serious. We're family. Family doesn't steal from each other, I said quietly. Silence stretched between us. Theo placed a document beside the credit statements. This is a formal demand letter, he said. It requires full repayment of the fraudulent charges within 45 days. Mom gasped. You would sue your own parents. You would steal from your own daughter, I countered. Dad snatched the letter. His face flushed dark red. We're your family, he growled. You don't threaten family, and you don't rob family, I replied, standing. 45 days. For the next week, the messages poured in. Voicemails from Mom. Text messages from Bryn. Dad sent a single email. You'll regret this. A week later, Mom's latest text glowed on my phone. You're ruining this family over a little money. I showed it to Theo. They're panicking, he said. That's good. It means they know you're serious. I stared out the window. Do you think they'll actually pay? I asked. They will if they believe the alternative is worse, he said. A month later, while I was eating lunch at my desk, the notification appeared on my phone. It was a Venmo transfer from Richard Beckett, $18,900. The message field had 4 words. This should end it. Not an apology, not an acknowledgement, a dismissal. My phone immediately lit up with texts from Bryn. Thanks a lot. Dad had to cash out his retirement account early. You happy now? Hope you enjoy your blood money. I set down my sandwich. With calm, deliberate keystrokes, I logged into my Chase account. I paid off the fraudulent card in full. Then I called customer service. I requested the account be permanently closed. I also asked for documentation that this was reported as fraud and confirmation that it wouldn't appear on my credit report. When that was complete, I drafted a single email. It was addressed to Mom, Dad, and Bryn. I have paid the fraudulent debt in full and closed the account. I have also prepared legal documentation of your actions, which has been placed in secure storage with my attorney. This documentation will remain private unless you attempt to contact me again or open any accounts in my name. Our business is concluded. I signed it simply, Marin. Then I blocked their email addresses, one by one. 2 weeks passed. Blessed silence. I heard through mutual friends that Bryn had taken to part-time jobs. Dad had started fishing again, something he claimed he couldn't afford. Mom told relatives I was having emotional problems and had abandoned the family. Let them talk. The truth was in my bank account and in my credit report. It was in the stack of documents Theo helped me prepare. 6 months had passed. The world hadn't ended. My savings account showed a healthy balance, enough for a down payment on a small home if I wanted. The Montreal trip brochure sat on my coffee table. It was no longer a fantasy. It was a scheduled reality. I told Zoe, a young accountant I was mentoring, learning to say no saved my retirement fund. She scribbled frantically. But what if they make you feel guilty? She asked. That feeling belongs to them. I answered, not you. I was surprised by how easily the words came now. That evening at a dinner party, someone brought up my parents. Weren't their anniversaries always at Salvatore's? The table went quiet. We have different views on family obligations, I said simply. The seared scallops are excellent tonight. No trembling hands, no racing heart, just a fact, stated without shame. The following Saturday, Theo arrived. My friends Lisa and Devon brought homemade pasta and cake. My small dining table felt just right for the four of us. My chosen family. Theo raised his glass. To family, he said, and healthy boundaries. Lisa added. We clinked glasses. We ate until our sides ached from laughing. Nobody asked for money. Nobody made me feel small. The evening ended without a single moment of anxiety. That night, I pulled up the application for the Senior Operations Director position. The job description felt like it was written for me. I completed the form. I attached my updated resume. I then browsed listings for starter homes. My phone chimed with an email from my mother. The subject line read, "Family responsibility, please read." I hovered my finger over it. I remembered the weight of those words. Then I deleted it without opening it. No anger, no guilt, just quiet certainty. I had traded a life of being an ATM for a life of my own, and the price of that freedom was worth every single dollar.